So, it's morning here. I want to see where the light is. Looking good. Yeah, anyway. So, it's morning here. And I woke up, found, this court action that the Attorney General has put up in South Africa, trying to stop the burial of Edgar Lungu in South Africa today. And I'm telling you, I am very happy by the action of the Attorney General. I'm very happy by the action of the Attorney General. I, for one, I have told you, I am against burying Edgar Lungu in South Africa. I am against. And as long as I live, I will find a way of fighting to make sure that Edgar Lungu's body is brought to Zambia and buried there. I, for one, as Chilufya Tayali, as a citizen of that country, a Zambian, my desire is that Edgar Lungu is brought to Zambia. Edgar Lungu is mourned in dignity as a former head of state. Edgar Lungu is buried where we have been burying other former head of states. This is my desire as a Zambian. And therefore, I can start by saying that what Kavesha has done, what the Attorney General has done, is representing my interest, as a Zambian citizen. Yes, I am living out here in exile, but I'm a Zambian. I have not acquired any other citizenship. I've not acquired any other citizenship. I am a Zambian living outside Zambia. But I am a Zambian, and the Attorney General represents my interest. The Attorney General is a lawyer for the government, and the government is a government for the people, by the people. That's what it is. So, Attorney General, if there is one person that the Attorney General is representing, it's me. I'm lifting my hand in support of the Attorney General, saying what you are doing protects my interests. What you are doing protects my interests. But you see, I am not the only one. I strongly believe that I'm not the only one who would want Edgar Lungu to be buried in Zambia. I am not the only one. A number of people would want to mourn Edgar Lungu. A lot of people would want, to be part of the procession of the burial of Edgar Lungu. A number of people would love to go and visit the tomb where Edgar Lungu is going to be buried, like we have been doing. The 5 presidents that have died, we have where we put them, and that place has become a national monument where, people from all walks of life, from all over the world, they go there to pay respect or to learn the history. If you go at the Embassy Park, there is even a person that is employed there who gives you, the history about all those presidents. So this is what has become, that place has become a national monument. It is part of our heritage. It has become part of our heritage. So the Edgar Lungu family cannot deny us all that. They cannot deny us that. So I'm not the only one. And the evidence that this burial is of high public interest, the evidence that this funeral is of high public interest is the number of people that have flown to South Africa. The number of people that have flown into South Africa, it is evidence that a number of people are interested in this burial. Look at how many people have flown into South Africa. Look at how many people have flown into South Africa. So many people have flown into South Africa. We are seeing the pictures, and definitely there is a big crowd in South Africa. That shows that this is of high public interest. And those who have gone to South Africa are those with means. Those with means, those who are able to afford a ticket. Those are the people that have gone to South Africa. But what about the majority Zambians who cannot afford an air ticket? What about the majority Zambians who cannot afford hotel accommodation in South Africa? What about them? So it is okay for the family of Edgar Lungu, it is okay that only the affluent, only the rich should attend the burial of Edgar Lungu. Only these. What about the majority Zambians? And yes, I'm saying majority Zambians. Why? Because Edgar Lungu was voted twice. Edgar Lungu was voted twice to become president. He was voted twice to become president. And for him to become president, it means he got votes more than any other person. He got the majority votes. The majority Zambians stood up to say, we want this man. We want him to be our leader. And these people, they are part of Edgar Lungu's life. The day that majority people flocked to the polling stations and voted for Edgar Chagwa Lungu, they became part of Edgar Chagwa Lungu. We don't vote for presidents just like that. No. A president becomes part of our life. A president affects all of us, even those that did not vote for him. So Edgar Lungu's public interest is high. Edgar Lungu's public interest in Zambia, it's very high. That is why he became Republican president. He became Republican president not in South Africa, not in any other country, but in Zambia. So, in this case, the issue of public interest is going to be looked at very seriously. I can assure you that. The issue of public interest is going to be looked at very seriously. Are you going to, is the family going to override public interest? Is the family going to override public interest? Everything is going to be put aside. And remember, it was Edgar Lungu who was in power when Dr. Kaunda said, I want to be buried next to the grave of my wife. That was the wish of Kaunda. I want to be buried next to the grave of my wife. And public interest overrode the wishes of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda that he could not be buried next to his wife. He was buried where we have been burying other former head of state. And it was the Edgar Lungu's administration that was arguing this case. They argued to say public interest is higher than the interest of the family, is higher than the interest of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, our founding father. The Edgar Lungu argued that that case. They were the ones arguing that case. All of you today, this is why when I say I am the most consistent politician in Zambia, some of you doubt. You say I'm not consistent, but I'm very consistent. Because I don't take a position and change the position. No. I take a position and I stay with that position regardless of who is supporting it. When I take a position, it is not about because UPND is supporting it, no. When I take a position, it is not because PF is supporting it, no. But most of you take your positions based on your political affiliation, based on your political association. If it is PF, then you will argue. You will go to length to argue. No, whatever, changing the position. I don't change positions. I don't change positions. I remain on the position. It's you who think that I change positions because one day I'll be agreeing with you on a particular issue. Tomorrow I will not be agreeing with you on a particular issue, and you think I've changed. You think I change between camps. I don't change between camps. No, I don't change between camps because I don't belong to either camp. I don't belong to UPND. I don't belong to Patriotic Front. I belong to the Zambian people. That is why I call myself a public lawyer. And in this instance, I am looking at the public interest. That is what I'm looking at. And I agree with the Attorney General that he is representing the public interest. So this case is, number one, a case of high public interest. And the evidence is there. What is the evidence of high public interest? Number one is that Edgar Chagwa Lungu was voted twice as president. Twice as president. Meaning so many people had interest in him. Otherwise they wouldn't have voted for him. Number two, the traffic that is going to South Africa. The traffic that is going to South Africa shows that a lot of people want to be part of this funeral. And as a government, they need to look at the other people that may not afford. If many people could afford, they would have been going to South Africa to attend this funeral. But majority Zambians are poor, cannot afford. So they would want, to be part of this funeral, but they can't go to South Africa. So public interest, it's very high. Then the other point is that some people are saying, no, but is in South Africa. Is in South Africa, and we are looking at South African laws. I want to tell you that laws are not cast in concrete. Laws are not cast in concrete. Laws are dynamic. Laws are progressive. The constitution that we have all over the world are based on the experiences that we have had, or what some people could envisage, to say, okay, there could be this, there could be this situation. So how would we look at this situation? And then they wrote the constitution. But that does not mean that it is exhaustive. No, that does not mean that it is exhaustive. That is why we keep changing the law. That is why we keep rewriting the law. We keep adding up precedences, assets. So even in South Africa, don't think that a South African law is cast in concrete and they cannot move. No. Even in South Africa, they consider public interest. Even in South Africa, they look at what has come before them. I don't think South Africa has had a situation like this one. I don't think South Africa has had a situation like this one. And therefore, this is unprecedented in South Africa. And when you say it is unprecedented, it is a situation that you may not find in the constitution, and it has never happened. And so South Africa may have to set a precedence. This is a case where South Africa will set a precedence. And what they will be looking at, first of all, this is not a South African person that they are talking about. This is not a South African. The guy that has died is not a South African. He is a former head of state, meaning a person of high public interest. A person of high public interest. Will South Africa want to overlook the public interest of the Zambian people? Are they just going to toss it away to say, well, our law says that we should hand it over to the family, and whatever family does, we have got no issue in it? Will they say that? Because actually, there are no further instructions in the South African government when you talk about handing over the body to the family. There are no further instructions. We have handed over the body to the family, and they'll do as they please. But in this instance, South Africa is being called to look at, okay, you have handed over this body to this family, but this family is not Zambian, or this person who has died is not Zambian. Yes, you have handed over to the family, but this family is not Zambian. So, are you going to declare Edgar Chagwa Lungu a South African in his death? Are you going to declare, is South Africa going to declare Edgar Chagwa Lungu South African in his death and give him citizenship to stay in South Africa? Is South Africa going to give Edgar Lungu citizenship in his death? Are they going to give him citizenship in his death? Are they? Because even I was surprised to hear that the Lungus were residents in South Africa. What does it mean to be a resident in a country? What does it mean to be a resident in a country? These questions will be coming up. How did Edgar Lungu, our former head of state, our Tonse chairman, our Patriotic Front president, how did he become a resident in South Africa? Did he secretly apply for for residence? Because a resident is one that has been recognized by a government to be living in a country for some reasons. That is a resident. There are laws on how you become a resident, and you must apply for it. You don't just become a resident of a country simply because you have a visa for 1 month. You don't become a resident of a country. You can even have a 1-year visa. You don't become a resident depending on the situation. So, was Balungu did he apply for residence? As what? Doing what? Doing what? On what basis was Edgar Lungu a resident of South Africa? On what basis? On what basis? Was he working there? Surely you cannot grant somebody residency on medical grounds. I don't think so. I've never heard of it. To say no, because he's here in South Africa, he's attending medicals, so we give him residence. I doubt. Because as far as we are concerned, he went there for medicals. He went there for medicals. So did South Africa grant him this residency based on the fact that he has to attend hospital? Was that the reason? What are the circumstances? And these things will come up in court. They will come up because South Africa would have to tell us how he became a resident of South Africa. And if he didn't become a resident, I mean, he was a Zambian attending, to medical issues. And after medical issues, because he has died, he's supposed to come back. He's supposed to come back. So to say no, but his wish was that his wish was that Hakainde Ichilema should not attend my funeral, because we can now be looking at to say, okay, what is the contention? The other issue that the court will be looking at, they will be looking at what is the contention. What is the contention? What is the contention? The South African government will be looking at what is the contention. What will be the South African preventing? Because the South African government have an obligation to protect human rights. They have an obligation to protect human rights. So this is why when we have got issues, most of us who have been running to South Africa, and South Africa has been receiving us like an uncle, we are like a situation where you quarrel with your father, and your father wants to beat you or whatever it is, then you run to your uncle. South Africa is like our uncle, and we go there, and South Africa accommodates us. Now, in this instance, what human rights issue will South Africa be preventing in the Edgar Lungu's burial issue? What? The issue of the family? Okay. What is the family saying? What is the issue with the family? What is the issue? What is the issue? Why has the family decided to bury Edgar Lungu in South Africa? Tell me what is the issue. And I've been asking this question. What is the issue? The South African, the Lungu family has decided to bury Edgar Lungu in South Africa. What is the issue? The court will have to look at the merits of those issues. No, they don't want President Hakainde Hichilema to attend the funeral, because that is the biggest issue. They don't want Hakainde Hichilema to attend the funeral. Is it the interest of South Africa to resolve internal matters? Is it the interest of the South African government to resolve internal matters? Because now this becomes internal. It becomes internal. It becomes internal. It is not the South African business to arbitrate in our internal matters. It is not the South African business. South Africa cannot be an arbitrator in our internal matters. So those issues, whatever issues that the family is raising, those issues must be brought to Zambia and be resolved in Zambia. We cannot fail to resolve this issue. We cannot fail to resolve this issue. So we don't need South Africa to stop us from dealing with our own issues. Those are internal matters. Those are internal matters. There is no human rights issue. The Lungu family, in what they are raising, there is no human rights issue. There is no human rights issue. If there was a human rights issue, South Africa can step in to protect the interests of a victim. But in the Lungu, if you look at Lungu is gone. Lungu is dead. What human rights issue will be the South African government protecting? What will be why would they come in? Why? I mean, it's actually unfortunate that we have drawn South Africa into this. It is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that we have embroidered a sister country in this impasse. It is unfortunate. I mean, we have been going to South Africa now. These are situations where in future South Africa will be reluctant to receive Zambians. Behold, this guy might die here and we will enter into litigations. They might start being reluctant to accept us because we are drawing them into our internal matters. These are internal matters that should be resolved in Zambia, not to end up with a standoff and ask for citizenship posthumously for a person. Because what is here now, the Lungu family are asking for citizenship of Edgar Lungu posthumously. And the Zambian government is right. The Zambian government has responsibility on all Zambians. The Zambian government has responsibility on all Zambians. The Zambian government has to protect even us who are in difficult circumstances out here. If I drop dead here, the Zambian government is responsible. Even as I am here, as I'm sitting here, the Zambian government is responsible. The Zambian government is responsible. It's responsible. You cannot run away from that. You can't say, no, me, I've got nothing to do with my government. Then change your citizenship. Change your citizenship. The moment you don't want to do anything with our government, change your citizenship. So no, South African law. Is Edgar Lungu a South African? By the fact that he died in South Africa, attending medical treatment, does it make him South African? Does it make him South African? Yes, when you are in a country, you follow the laws of that country. But you have to remember that those laws of the country, they are for that country. They are for that country. So in a situation where there is a dispute, they will have to just take you to where you belong. They just have to take you where you belong. They just have to take you to where you belong. For example, I give you an example. If a Muslim dies, a Muslim, they have got a well-elaborate way of burying people. When a Muslim dies, they have got a well-elaborate way of burying people. And now, this person is married to a Zambian, for example, and he dies in Zambia. He dies in Zambia. And then the wife says, I want to bury this person as a Christian. I want to bury him as a Christian because I am the next of kin, and this person is in Zambia. And this person is in Zambia. And this guy is a Muslim, and he's supposed to be buried as a Muslim, coming from a Muslim country. Are you telling me Zambia will hold on to say, no, we will follow what the wife says? And yet this person is a foreigner, a Muslim coming from a Muslim country. Is Zambian government going to rule, or our courts are going to rule in favor of the wife to say, no, since you are the next of kin, we will bury this person as such? No. No. They will respect this man and the traditions and where he comes from, especially when the country where he comes from has contested. They will contest and say, no, he is a Muslim, we should bury him as a Muslim, and he comes from our country, we want to bury him in our country. I don't think the wife will have a stronger case than the country where he comes from. In this case, the Zambian government has drawn interest on behalf of the Zambian people. It is not on behalf of Hakainde Hichilema. Hakainde Hichilema did not vote for Edgar Lungu. Hakainde Hichilema did not make Edgar Lungu president. It is the Zambian people that voted for Edgar Lungu. And in his death, you cannot turn around and say, no, the Zambian people have got no say. It is only the wife and Tasila and Makebi Zulu. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. These three people cannot override, these three people, the wife, Tasila, and Makebi Zulu. They cannot override the public interest. We voted for that man. We looked after that man. We were paying, taxpayers was going into his sustenance. As a president, even as a former president. Even in his death, there are dues that are going to be paid. Edgar Lungu is gone, but the benefits of former heads of state will still apply. We, the Zambian people, we will have to pay Baraba Esther. We will have to pay, the children, whatever is prescribed to former heads of state. The house, which is still there, in part of the benefits is the house. That house will have to be built for that family. That house will have to be built for that family. So, for this family of Wabena Lungu, na Makebi Zulu wabo, it is okay for President Edgar Chagwa to receive the benefits and the title of 60th president. In their program there, they have written 60th president. 60th president from where? 60th president of South Africa. Why haven't they dropped 60th president? They keep writing 60th president, 60th president, 60th president. But 60th president for which country? In South Africa? No, he's 60th president in Zambia. No, we don't want to go to Zambia. What is the issue? What is the issue? Prepare good arguments in court. Prepare good arguments in court why you don't want him to go back to Zambia, why you want him to get a citizenship, a South African citizenship posthumously. Because when you are buried, you are buried. We don't bury to exhume, no. We call it a final resting place. So this Balungu being buried in South Africa, that will be his final resting place. Final resting place, meaning he's gonna become a South African in his death. Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to deny the Zambian people the opportunity to mourn their former president? Why do you want to deny the Zambian history, the Zambian heritage, for Edgar Lungu to be buried where other former heads of state have been buried? Why? Why do you want to deny us that? Why do you... Hakainde Hichilema is president today, tomorrow he will not be president. But these are things that we have lived with. Chiluba died a long time ago. He died a long time ago. But his burial site is there for everyone to go there. Bakaunda, Arabi, and so on and so forth. It is not about an individual called Hakainde Hichilema. No. This is about the country. This is about the country. It is not about an individual. It is not about Hakainde Hichilema. Hakainde Hichilema is in State House today. Tomorrow he will not be there. Tomorrow he will not be there. Zambia will still remain. So why should we allow the differences between two people to change our heritage? Why should we allow, the differences of Edgar Lungu and Hakainde Hichilema to come and alter the tradition that we have? We have a tradition. Why, Zambians, you people, ask yourselves, why? Even no matter the differences that you can be talking about. But I want to hear those differences. What are those fundamental differences? What are those fundamental differences that should draw our diplomatic relationship with another country into jeopardy? No. Why? Whatever the case, I can tell you from the word go, the so-called Lungu family, they don't have the interests of the Zambian people. They are not doing this in the interest of the Zambian people. And yet they benefited. They benefited when the Zambian people put him there as president. Bamayowa Esther Lungu should have refused when Edgar Lungu put himself to say, I want to be the Republican president. She should have refused to say, no, I want you for myself only. I want you for myself only. She should have refused to be first lady. She was first lady because of Edgar Lungu, because of people that voted for Edgar Lungu. They enjoyed the flamboyancy and all the benefits that comes with that position. They enjoyed it. Why should they turn around today and say, no, we are not interested in Zambians. We are not interested in Zambia at all, because basically this is it. We are not interested in Zambia. Why are you not interested? Because of one man, Hakainde Hichilema. Why? Hakainde Hichilema? Because of Hakainde Hichilema. No, we don't want Hakainde Hichilema to speak on the funeral. Where has it happened? Where has it happened? South Africa itself, they have had their differences. And they have had people who are adversaries coming to speak on a funeral of somebody that they criticized, even of somebody that would have died as a result of their actions. And these people would come and make speeches. But whatever the case, these are internal matters. These are internal matters. South Africa should allow us, to resolve these issues in Zambia and not give Edgar Lungu a citizenship in his death. Because what is the reason? What is the reason? What is the reason? What is the reason? Which human rights are they protecting? Are they going to protect? Is South African government going to protect the interest of three people? Bakawesha has extended, the sermon to other children as well. But these other children, they have just been drawn into it because, they are children. But really, they should have been excused. I wish they would have been excused, because these other children, no, we haven't seen them. Look, even when Edgar Lungu was in power, you never saw Chieso, you never saw this Daliso, We have known other children of the presidency But Daliso, you never saw him, moving around and bossing people, I'm the son of the president. You never saw that. The guy is a cool guy. She's a very cool lady. I mean, other children as well. It is only Tasila that who has been in the front line, like she's the only child, because of political ambitions. She has got political ambitions, and that's why, she's being part of all this. So the question really is, will the South African government overlook the interests of the Zambian people, which is so evident by the fact that this man who has died was voted as president? Will the South African government ignore the public interest, which has clearly been shown by a number of people that have flown into South Africa to attend the funeral? By the very fact that those who are affluent, those who have money, have flown into South Africa, have paid hotel bills to be in South Africa, it has shown public interest. And the government is now looking at the majority who cannot afford to go to South Africa. That is what the government is looking at. Will the South African government deny the public interest, the desire of the many Zambians who would want to attend this funeral, either physically or on TV? Will the South African government deny our heritage, where we have a place where we bury our former heads of state? Will South Africa deny us that? No, the Constitution says give to the family. But okay, you have given to the family. What about these other considerations? This is what will be brought in court, in the South African court. And the South African court, we will have to look at these issues: public interest, heritage of a country, resolution of internal matters. Because at the end of the day, these are not human rights issues. If he was alive, if Edgar Lungu was alive, and he's saying, no, if I go back to Zambia, I'll be killed, it's a different story. If Edgar Lungu was alive, or is sick, is in hospital, then yes, South African government will be like, no, if we take this guy, that side, I mean, you might kill him, or you might do something bad, you might violate his human rights. But if Edgar Lungu, in his death, is brought to Zambia, what human rights violation would be there? No, he said he doesn't want the incumbent to come near his body. Is that for South Africa to resolve? That becomes an internal issue. That becomes an internal issue. It is not a human rights issue. It's not an international issue. It is something that can be resolved in Zambia. And we have got institutions, we have got churches, we have got eminent leaders, we have got traditional leaders. We have got so many people that can sit and discuss this and see the way forward. And it has to be done in Zambia, not in South Africa. It has to be done in Zambia. So, at the end of the day, I just wanted to say this and commend the Attorney General. The position that he has taken is very good. At least for me, I am lifting my hand to say I'm a Zambian. I'm in support of the Attorney General's court injunction. I am in support of it. I am very much in support of it. And I'm sure many of you would want, ordinary Zambians would want to be part of this funeral. Ordinary Zambians would want to go to the tomb where Edgar Lungu is buried. That will be closure. What they are doing in South Africa, no one, they are burying him in a private whatever. Zambians will not even be able to go there and look at the tomb of the former head of state. They will not be able to do it. We do it every day. We go to Kuriba Kaunda, we go whatever. We do it in Zambia. On the memorial, we are going to have a memorial. For example, it has got serious issues. We are going, when we will be having memorials, because government is supposed to celebrate some memorials of the former head of state. So after 5 years, they are supposed to celebrate a memorial. Are you telling me the Zambian government, we will have to celebrate a memorial we will have to go to South Africa? We do have these events memorials. Are you telling me those memorials, how are they going to be held? How are they going to be held? So, I think it is a very good action, and I pray that the wisdom of the South African court will prevail. The wisdom, because here it is more about wisdom, not justice. It is more about wisdom. It is more about wisdom. What should be right for the good of everybody. That is wisdom. What is right for the good of everybody. It's not justice. And in certain situations where what is good for the society is bigger than that of an individual, your rights can be violated. You hear? This is not an issue of justice, no. It is about wisdom. What is better for the general public and for the interest of 3 people? What is bigger? Sometimes you can even be killed. You can even be killed for the good of the public interest. Serial killers are killed, denying them of their lives for the good of society. So, this is an interesting case. Don't just say, no, the South African Constitution, it's unprecedented. And the South African government will be ruling on an unprecedented matter. Bakavesha Namugombo. Thank you very much. I'll continue with my gym, and I know in Zambia it's late, you are going to sleep. But I wanted to put my thoughts on this. Bye for now.